All right, riding through the mountains. Corners are hazardous situations. We should not be going too fast for the corners. We're dumping the bike. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. This was an easy corner that we could have done. Very good on him for crawling out of the way, though. So when it comes to a crash, remain calm, ensure your own safety. So he's ensuring his own safety by trying to get off the road. Very, very lucky. Very good. So what happened here, everybody? We're probably trying to keep up with our friend. He's going pretty fast around the corners. Maybe has a little bit more experience with these corners. We don't have that same experience. So if we're going the same speed, let's say it's 50 miles per hour. We're just picking a speed. Our buddy up ahead can make this corner easy at 50. It's harder for us to make this corner at 50. So what can we be doing differently? He takes it at 50 because it's easy for him. Perfectly fine. We might have to go down to 45. We might have to go down to 40 so that it becomes easy for us. And then we might have to catch up to him on a straightaway. But then slow down before a corner because now we have to do the same thing. It's 50 for him, it's easy. 40 for us, it's easy. This is where communication with each other is very important. Understanding the skill level of your group ride and your buddy is very important. Hopefully he understands that, hey, my buddy behind me can't keep up with me. So we're either going to talk about it beforehand and say, hey, I'm going to take these. Don't try to take it as fast as I do. I will wait for you at the destination that we're coming up. Just enjoy the ride. Okay, just enjoy the ride. Or the guy in front can say, hey, I'm going to start taking it at 40. It's going to be way too easy for me. It's not going to be whatever. But that means we can stay together and just do 40 on these turns. But how do you communicate all that stuff? Guys, this is why I always recommend having a Bluetooth system. Cardo Pack Talk Edge, link in the description for 10% off. Talk to each other. Just talk to each other. Or don't have the system and talk to each other before the ride. This is where the whole idea of ride your own ride. But you can work with your friends to ride at the same speed or agree that we ride our own ride. Okay? Let's see. Intersection, hazardous area, any vehicles, don't know.
Crossing a solid line and not checking properly.
Okay, we see a bunch of cars stacked up, so we have to start slowing down. That's one of the three things, is braking. Oh! Now, there's not much she could have done other than wearing actual motorcycle protective gear. Okay, that's not a good situation. Let's take a look at what actually happened here. So remember what I was saying? Intersections are hazardous, right? Intersections are hazardous. So once again, part of being a smart rider, this is part of the smart rider system, is acquiring and using personal protective equipment in case something bad happens that you don't have much time to react to. And so if you do crash and you hit your shoulder, we're going to see her hit her shoulder, hit her knee, hit her back, hit her legs, and all that stuff. In motorcycle protective gear, you have some armor that will hopefully mitigate some of the injuries. So if she hit, let's just say she hit her left knee on the ground and it's shattered her patella. Okay, that little kneecap in front of your knee, right? She shattered it because she had no gear. Now let's say she has gear and same accident, same everything. She hits her left knee. It doesn't shatter the patella. It maybe has a hairline fracture on the patella. Still not good, but it's way better than a shattering. And that's what motorcycle gear will do. It will just mitigate some of it, so it's not as extreme. And so instead of a shattering where she can't walk for a very long time, has to get massive surgeries, maybe it's just some rehab. It sucks. It is what it is. It's the risk we take when we're riding motorcycles. Wasn't going fast. Stupid truck decided to come out of the way. So at this point, when it comes to assessing relevant threats, that's a relevant threat because that nose is pointed towards my lane. It's an active threat now. And if we're not speeding into intersections, this is where good progressive braking might have helped out. Or I'm just going to take this left turn because I'm not going fast. I can make the turn. I'm going to just take this left turn. I'm going to get ahead of the vehicle and then emergency accelerate out of it so I don't get rear-ended. See how there's multiple things we can do? She tried. There's a little bit of a swerve. Maybe that's where the impact is and pushed her bike, but it is what it is. Right hand smashed. Motorcycle gloves. Right elbow smashed. Motorcycle jacket. There's the impact up and over, so right leg. Motorcycle pants. Let's go here. There's the right shoulder that hit the ground. Motorcycle jacket. Hopefully has shoulder armor. up and over the curb, massive injuries, shoe flew off, toes are hitting the ground, motorcycle boots. Overall, terrible situation. Hopefully she's doing fine. All right, cruising through it. Old Cardo Pack Talk Bold, I think. Okay. Oh. What do? He tried. This is one of those things where it's like, even if you do everything right, it still comes out bad. So tried to swerve to the left into a lane filtering position. Didn't work out. Tried. It went away. I would have went more towards the right, but he tried to the left. High impact, bad. Wasn't his fault. All right, lane filtering. Why do you have your door open? Just to be a D-bag? Okay, swerve left, get back in your lane. Some people are just assholes, to be honest. Now, is it, oh, geez. Florida, it's a Florida plate. It's not legal. So this is where some people say to themselves, hey, it's not legal. I'm going to be the cop of the day, the Karen. Okay, it sucks. It's stupid. I prefer just to do stuff when it's legal, so then you do at least have some backup when it comes to that. And at the same time, if it's legal, hopefully these people understand that it's legal to do it, so they don't get it so upset. They might get upset, but they're not going to do anything stupid. Overall, pretty stupid. Don't escalate. Don't escalate. Just move on with your day. Bro stole my keys. See, now you have bigger issues. Looks like we're in a parking lot. My girl, after I almost stole a 250 or 2500. See, now cops involved. If you're watching these crashes and thinking, I'd never do that myself, that's the mindset that gets most riders hurt because of complacency. So make sure you join the Smart Rider crew and let me break down your clips before they become real crashes. All right, good thing I was paying. Wear some gear, please. But if the whole thing is paying attention. Okay, so switched over. Okay, good swerve. Slow it down. We're going 110 miles per hour with no gear. That's a death wish. If you can spend this much on a motorcycle, save up a little bit more and spend it on gear. I mean, we have a camera. That's $400, $500 right there. That's almost a full set of gear. Get the gear first, then the camera. All right, here we go. Side of the vehicle is another pattern we should be looking out for. Now, what is the side of the vehicle? Let's go back just a little bit here. Okay, side of the vehicle right there. You see that? It's harder to see at night. That's why night riding is a little bit more hazardous, because it's harder to see that side of the vehicle. You can usually see the headlights out in front or the tail lights and brake lights in the behind, but it's hard to see the actual side of the vehicle. But we have an intersection, right? We have an intersection. That's going to let us know it's a hazardous situation. Look for these sides of the vehicles. Look for possible threats and active threats. Look for those. And if you're constantly scanning for it, you're going to be able to see it ahead of time, so you're able to do something about it. So we didn't see it. We did not see this hazard. That's why we barely started to slow down once we got closer to the intersection. So slowing it down, slowing it down, slowing it down. That sucks. And this is why we wear gear, just in case. I keep doing this. All right. Oh, had to layer down. The bike hit the car. All right, let's go over this one. This one's actually pretty important. Hit a big stone with 100 kilometers per hour. I don't think MotoStars, this is the annotation for it. I don't see a big stone anywhere. I don't think we're going 100 kilometers an hour. That's what, 62? I don't think we're going 62. Let's go back just a little bit. Okay, green light. Shows that it's a green light for us, okay? Let's go back just a little bit when it's full speed. All right, we're coming up to the intersection. Once again, intersections or hazard situations, we'll be paying attention. It's a green light for us. We're kind of, hey, it's fine. Everything's perfectly fine, but we still need to locate and assess, and if there is something, navigate. And this was on Instagram. I made a comment saying progressive braking. Everyone in the comments, it was pretty interesting, and hopefully you guys write in the comment section here. They said this was a strategic dumping of the bike so he wouldn't T-bone the car. Like, that is a solution. I'm going to crash myself so the crash itself won't be bad. That is not a solution. There's 3 things we can do: emergency progressive braking, emergency swerving, or emergency acceleration. Same thing when we're riding normally. we can accelerate, we can turn, we can brake. Those are the three things we can do in an emergency situation. They become emergency maneuvers, and you must do them quicker. Turning, it could be turning on an intersection, could be turning from a lane change, it could be accelerating from stop to going the speed limit. Braking could be coming up to an intersection that's a red light, we slow down slowly. Those are the normals. The emergency version is to do it quicker and quicker and quicker. And that's why we practice in a parking lot. You can practice a lot of stuff with the Smart Rider drills. Make sure you check it out. 24 motorcycle drills, QR codes. There's a download that you automatically get so you can have it on your phone and practice. But this is the emergency strategic layer down. No, I put progressive braking as a comment, and I got kind of crapped on for that. So what I mean by that, so I'm going to explain a little bit more, is that we're coming up to here. It's a green light for us. We're covering the brakes because we understand it's a hazardous situation, intersection corners. So I'm covering the brakes. I'm preparing for an escape route. I'm preparing to do my emergency braking if I need to. I'm preparing to do emergency acceleration if I need to. I'm getting ready for those three things that I need to do just in case. I don't know if there's any relevant threats yet. We come up to here, boom, as soon as I see it, he sees it. That's why the camera moved. He sees that, hey, there's a vehicle not stopping. It looks like it's going pretty fast. It's green for me. It must be red for them. They're going to run the red light. Now it becomes an active threat. This is when those three things pop in. I'm covering the brakes. That's going to be one of the simplest things to start. So what I want to do, and this is why I made the comment, progressive braking. We're not going to stop in time because our total stopping distance is not enough. We need more total stopping distance. We need more room to actually come to a complete stop at this speed. The whole point is to slow down enough so that car can make it through the intersection and we somehow get behind them. That's the goal. That's my initial goal. I'm going to slow down so then they keep going and then I go behind them. So we're not going to intersect at the same time. That's my goal right here. So I'm going to apply progressive braking right now. And if I'm still going to clip the back end of the vehicle. That's when I change up my strategy from progressive braking to now emergency swerving. I'm going to swerve left where the vehicle is no longer going to be because the vehicle is going to keep traveling from left to right. So I don't want to swerve right because I'm going to go and hit the vehicle. I'm going to slow down as much as I can here, hoping I'm not going to have to do anything other than slowing down so the vehicle can leave. And if it's not going to be enough, I'm going to swerve left. That's what I'm going to do. That's why I put in the comments. So strategic dumping of the bike and having to layer down, get that out of your training. Get that out of your mindset. I'm going to lay it down so I don't hit the vehicle. You're going to crash so you don't hit a vehicle. That might work in some situations, but here, no. When I say some situations, like I'm going to lay it down before I go off a cliff. Okay, well, maybe you shouldn't be going fast. Maybe you shouldn't have been doing that. Maybe you should practice your skills. But if you're in that situation, okay, whatever. Not what I recommend. But here, definitely slow down and then swerve if you need to. So we get up to here, dumps the bike before the intersection, slams the front brake. You can see right here where his hand is on the brake. Squeezing super hard. He's going to let it go because he's starting to fall off. Okay. So he fell off. There's the dump on the bike. He's got full gear. So that's good. That's a good thing. The bike is going to hit the vehicle. There it is. And he's going to miss the vehicle. Now, when you slam the brakes and you fall down, you don't slow down. You just keep going at the same speed, but now you're on the ground sliding at the same speed and slowly down. If you did progressive brake pressure, he might have been right here or even a little bit further back and not hit the vehicle. You see how laying it down is not the solution? Applying progressive brake pressure and then maybe swerving out of the way at the last second or whatever you can just for that little bit that you might need. So this was a panic. Now, why do we panic? Write in the comments why you think we panic. I'm going to say it right here. We panic because we get surprised. We come up and we're speeding or whatever, and all of a sudden you see a cop car, you panic by slamming the brakes. All of a sudden, like something comes out at us, we're like, oh crap, we panic. This is where training kicks in. Training, you're always going to have a panic moment. You're always going to be like, oh crap. You're going to have that oh crap moment. But then your training, if you've been training, is going to now kick in of what I should be doing. If you don't do training, you're going to stay in this oh crap panic moment, and you're going to do something that is like your body's naturally going to think it needs to do, slam the brake. If you train, you're going to have the, oh crap, panic. Oh, training, progressive braking, brake, 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 brake. That's what kicks in. You need to build that muscle memory. You need to build the muscle memory of training. And that's what I've designed these books right here. So check it out in the store. How to zero to license rider right here. Teaches you all this stuff so you can practice, practice, practice. And this right here is going to teach you a ton of slow speed maneuvers, ton of different things so that you understand you don't panic. The whole point is that when you get into this mode, you don't panic forever and then you lay it down. You panic for that split second, then you get into your training again. So that's why it's so important that you train, train, train.